If today's politics really turn on the economy, as 81% of Americans who voted for Donald Trump said it did, then the economy might be flashing a red warning light to the president. Right now, 9 months into Donald Trump's second term, the national unemployment rate is 4.3%. 10.5% for young Americans ages 16 to 24 who face what is being called a no firing, no hiring economy. Just 22,000 jobs were added in August, and new government data shows employers created nearly 1 million fewer jobs over the past year than previously reported. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the overall U.S. tariff rate on imports sits at 19.5%. Tariffs have sharply raised prices for things like coffee, bananas, TVs, and toys. You know this. Last year, a pound of ground coffee cost an average of $6.31. Today, it's $8.87, a 33% increase. What's worse is that economists on both the right and the left agree it is only going to get worse. But again, that's only part of the story. The other part is that the stock market is booming, hitting 28 highs this year. It's all boosted by the big promises of AI. Small business confidence is spiking as well, and the economy itself, according to the Commerce Department, grew at a rate of almost 4% in the second quarter, significantly stronger than previously reported. So how do we look at this? What do we make of all of it? How do we square this circle, as folks say? Are the booms and the busts affecting everybody equally? Well, in order to figure this out and to understand what's happening, I thought we would turn to our very best and our very brightest business correspondent, NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans, who I have all my favorite conversations with.
Me too.
So Howard Lutnick the other day said something that, caught people's attention, and it was that Donald Trump doesn't own the economy until next January. I had Jason Furman on, and he said, yeah, I guess that's fair to say. What do you think?
But today, when you had a 3.8% GDP revision, the White House put out a statement, lauding it, basically, and saying this was because of the president's fine work. So when it's a really good economic number, the president and his team take credit for it. Otherwise, they say at some point in the future, it will be the Trump economy.
Look, they like it when it's good, and they don't own it when it's bad.
Presidents get too much credit and too much blame, I always say, for what goes on in the economy under their watch.
But this president is changing things in this economy in a way that other presidents have not.
Exactly, which is why it's unclear, what exactly. You just talked about all these conflicting signals in the economy. I say usually my crystal ball has been replaced by the crazy 8 ball, sounds good, yes, do it. We just don't know how this is going to work out. These are really huge experiments with trade. Tax policy has now been resolved, at least. That's one of the reasons I think that small business confidence number is going up, because at least they know what their taxes are going to look like next year. So that was some resolution.
But they don't know what their tariffs are going to look like.
They don't know what the tariffs are. They know that deregulation is coming, but just so much uncertainty. That's I just think the bottom line is that we are in a big experiment right now.
How significant is the unemployment rate? I mean, over 10% for young people.
Yeah.
How disruptive is that?
It's disruptive, especially for college-educated people who are looking for that first job, because companies, I talked about uncertainty, right? So if you're a company making money, as they are, their stocks are up, what do you do if you don't know what's happening next month? We're not firing your good people because you want to keep your head count. Maybe you're not hiring entry-level jobs, and those are the young people. Also, I look at long-term unemployment, and the number of people who've been out of work for 6 months or longer is the highest it's been since the pandemic. And there's a greater share of college-educated people in that 6 months out of work or longer. That worries me a little bit.
How frothy does it make politics? I mean, when you have that many young people who are looking for work and that many people who are out of work for as long as they are, in the past, has that been disruptive politically?
The overall unemployment rate, though, is still 4.3%, which is
it's low.
It's pretty low. So it's, as you said in your beautiful setup, it's a no hire, no fire. That's the situation. Job hugging is what we're hearing about, in an overall pretty robust job market. I think, Katie, to me, the biggest thing here is the cost of living. And there's 4 things. I think childcare, I think healthcare and insurance costs, I think housing costs, and I think food. These are the things that people can't. You can't trade out of these things. You can swap cuts of meat in the food category, but you still have to buy food. And you look, I go back 5 years. Auto insurance up 60%, shelter 50%, electricity 38%. This is why people feel so crappy, even when I'm talking about record highs in the stock market, because beef is also at record highs and coffee is at record highs. And they're feeling 5 years. They're not feeling year-over-year inflation rates. They're feeling the last 5 years, and it is...
They're looking at the blueberries in the supermarket and saying, are these prices ever going to come down?
Yeah, and look, if they come down, that's a bad thing. Inflation always rises a little bit. Now you've got inflation rising on top of this pile of price increases we had over 5 years. That's what people are feeling.
How do they deal with it in the planning space? We are going into an expensive part of the year.
Yeah.
Christmas time, it gets expensive both for travel, people wanting to go see
For
family,
Republicans,
but also for
the
buying
current
gifts for your kids
trajectory
and for your
raises
family.
concern.
It is a time of year where people save to spend. Do they still have that money to spend?
They save to spend or they spend what they don't have. That's what really worries me. I've been watching Buy Now, Pay Later, which can be an amazing tool for somebody who wants to spread out their purchases, but not an amazing tool if you're the X percent of people who have like missed one of these payments and now you're like locked into this cycle of spending money.
Because the interest rates on them skyrocket after you miss a payment.
Yeah, they can, and it's just a kind of a dangerous. It can be a big help if you use it properly, and it can be dangerous if you don't. And I've been watching that part of the credit market and wondering if that's the hinge for the money people don't have, but the money people are still spending.
Do you see people using those programs more?
So, oh yes, absolutely. It's the fastest growing part of fintech, as they say, financial technology, and it's frictionless. You don't have to do anything. You get this quick, soft credit, credit score.
I mean, that's what I both love and hate about like using my phone to pay for things, or Apple Pay is I can just press a button and I've paid for it, but without actually pulling the cash out from my wallet and paying for something. Same thing with credit cards to a degree.
Yeah.
I lose the sense of how much something actually costs and how much I have left. It's not like I spent what is it now for a coffee in New York City, $5 if you're lucky. It's not like I spent $5 on a coffee and I look in my wallet and I only have $15 left for lunch. I just click things on my phone and who knows? It feels like a bottomless pit.
And I feel like credit card debt, at 20% interest rates on a credit card, I mean, that's near record high. 20% on a credit card. I sound like my grandpa. I can't believe you're paying this much for credit, but there are a lot of people who are carrying balances on their credit cards, and even with interest rates starting to drift down a litle bit, that's a really dangerous debt levels that we see.
Are they paying for things on their credit card that are essentials?
In some cases, and in some cases, we had couple surveys that showed that buy now, pay later. Some of that was groceries, and it was takeout, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this could be really dangerous if people are using this fast, easy credit. It's a loan basically to pay for everyday items. It can be hard to keep track of. But consumers, Katie, are still spending though. I mean, that's one of the reasons why that GDP number was so darn good for the second quarter, because despite all this drama, people are spending their money.
I want to get to the contradictions in a moment, but I just also want to highlight this. This is from
9 months into President Donald Trump's second term. The U.S. economy presents stark contradictions, with unemployment at 4.3%, up slightly, and youth joblessness at 10.5% amid a no-hire, no-fire stagnation. August added just 22,000 jobs, while revised data revealed nearly 1 million fewer positions created over the past year than previously reported. Tariffs averaging 19.5%, per the OECD, have driven up import costs, spiking prices for coffee, up 33% to $8.87 per pound, bananas, TVs, and toys. Economists across the spectrum warn of worsening inflation, yet the stock market notched 28 highs this year, fueled by AI hype, small business confidence surged, and Q2 GDP growth hit nearly 4%, stronger than initial estimates. NBC senior business correspondent Christine Romans, analyzing the conflicting signals, likened the landscape to a crazy 8-ball. Howard Lutnick's claim that Trump doesn't own the economy until January drew agreement from Jason Furman, but the White House lauded the GDP revision as presidential success. Romans emphasized experimentation. Tax policy resolved, boosting confidence, but tariffs breed uncertainty. Companies hoard talent amid volatility, hitting entry-level hires, especially college grads, hardest. Long-term unemployment, 6 months plus, reached post-pandemic peaks, disproportionately affecting educated workers. Cost of living pressures dominate: childcare, healthcare, housing, and food. Over 5 years, auto insurance rose 60%, shelter 51%, electricity 38%, outpacing 20% wage gains. People feel crappy despite low headline inflation, Romans said, citing cumulative post-COVID hikes. Emergency savings lag. 46% cover 3 months' expenses, 30% have some but insufficient, 24% none, leaving one flat tire or broken boiler from crisis. Holiday spending looms expensively, with travel and gifts straining budgets. Buy now, pay later fintech surges, fastest growing credit segment, but risks debt traps at 20% interest for missed payments. Consumers spend robustly, driving GDP, often on essentials like groceries, but credit card balances balloon. The stock market's froth, dominated by 7 tech giants, reflects corporate profits, not Main Street. AI investments propel gains, but Romans question the bubble. Hype promises 20% workforce displacement, yet coders fix AI errors, and a recent study showed entry-level losses, 14% in one sector. But mid/senior roles untouchable. It's a game changer like the steam engine, she said, but unpredictable. Record money market funds, 4% yields, signal caution, Savers park cash amid volatility, unlike past eras. Midwest farmers, Trump supporters, worry tariffs have permanently lost China's soybean market to Brazil and Argentina, with silos built for storage. Subsidies provide solace, but once you lose a market, you lose it. Voters who blamed Biden for costs absolve Trump, buying his brighter future nostalgia, bringing manufacturing back to a comprehensible past. Democrats lack a coherent economic message, Romans noted, criticizing extensions of existing tax cuts or $1,000 Trump baby accounts falls flat without affordability alternatives. Business leaders manage Trump privately, teams navigating Oval Office optics versus off-record dread, waiting out 3 years of chaos. They're living in permanent campaign mode, she observed. Affordability remains the key to everything, with Trump's Teflon resilience contrasting Biden's blame. As tariffs bite and uncertainty reigns, the economy's big experiment tests resilience, but for families it's no abstract. One recession away from ruin if savings vanish.